I'm Piper Kujak, and I'm co-chair of the Residential Green Building Committee with USGBC Northern California chapter. And we have monthly meetings the fourth Wednesday of each month here at Pacific Energy Center. And once a quarter this year, we'll do an educational session. So that's what this is. Our focus is sustainable forestry, and to reintroduce a few of the key people we're lucky enough to have here. The idea here is to have a roundtable discussion and cover some of the barriers and kind of troubleshoot what's happening with specifying sustainable woods and what's keeping people from building more sustainably. First question is, how do you justify the premium for FSC certified lumber over clear cut, additional cost that either a contractor adds on or the distributor?
I think I first question the existence of a premium. It absolutely, in many markets and in many products, there are premiums, but we just visited a distributor today up in I think it was Sonoma County that many of his products don't have a premium, and certainly it depends on the fluctuations of the marketplace for conventional wood products. Right now we're probably seeing many of those having taken a big dive into that premium, and some products is probably there and maybe higher than it was in the very recent past. But in my neck of the woods in the upper Midwest, most of our lumber suppliers are providing FSC certified product, mostly dimensional, at roughly a 2 or 3% premium. So that's that can be significant on from a production home builder scale. But we obviously now here in the U.S. at least have a competing set of standards that were developed by industry soon after the FSC, because they started to get worried that we actually might get some market share. And for a long while that we were such a big player, and I think we've grown as LEED has grown, and now we've had incredible success in the paper marketplace and more recently in furniture. And we have attracted the interest of conventional industry, so much so that they're spending millions of dollars of their money putting up billboards, and we've got a great strategic plan that says, look as much as FSC as we can without really doing anything different in the field. And they've created a set of standards that are largely codifying existing practices and without really making any measurable change. So one of the things that challenge to us is they want to look more like us. We need to point out those differences, and I think you need to be able to point out those differences as well, because if you're not buying FSC, you're essentially buying conventional wood, and SFI and CSA and these other standards are essentially conventional wood. So FSC's focus is on maintaining a forest in a natural state, and maintaining ecosystem function, ecosystem services, maintaining habitat, watersheds. And generally, if you look at it, what you see differently is you don't see your typical clear cuts. You see what's called uneven age management. You see retention and openings. So it's really quite a different, even to an untrained eye, very, very different look and feel.
So Corey, all of us in the room here, I think I can speak for all of us here, we are in full support of FSC and see the good work it is doing. I want to turn the conversation a little bit to our distributors and see how we can make FSC woods more accessible. Maybe it's just a matter of listing all of our distributors and maybe having a database where we update quantities and types of woods available. But so let's switch to our distributors and talk about what happens when an FSC certified wood product comes to you, and how you separate it out, and what training goes on with your workers to complete that chain of custody.
Sure.
Can I speak to that?
So I'll open up on that. It's pretty simple. To be in the FSC system, you've got to be a chain of custody certificate holder. We got our chain of custody certificate back in 1999. We were the first lumber company in the country to stock and sell FSC wood. So we've got 10 years of experience now. We're reflecting back. 10 years ago we did that. And so you need to be able to demonstrate as a retailer that you can account for the product separately, because one 2x4 looks like another one. So you got to be able to account for it separately and account for a quantity in and a quantity out to be able to demonstrate that you in essence haven't cheated the system. And that's part of the magic of the FSC system, is that when a specifier specifies or a user uses it, they get FSC certified wood. So in the beginning, as every retailer that's done this will tell you, it's sort of, oh my gosh, what do I do? But really, the way I like to look at it, I think the whole FSC system, the challenge is taking enough time to wrap your mind around it. Once you've done it, it's easy. It's completely integrated in what we do. We barely think about it anymore. We know we get audited every year, but gosh, every SKU that we have, we audit. You know, so really, there's not that much difference at the end of the day. We have a perpetual computer system. We audit every single SKU, whether it's FSC certified or hammers or you name it, and we have to keep them separate and account for them separately. I think one of the other questions on there, which is a great lumberyard question, is like, you know, how do the guys keep that separate, and how much training do you have to give them to keep that separate? Well, guys who, in the lumberyard who don't know a big difference between plywood can sell AC or AC, you know, CDX, or you can mix up a lot of different products in the lumberyard. And it's again, it's really the same challenge, just applied to one new special product. And once we got over the initial hurdle, it's just the daily management of what we do anyway.
Do you want to speak to this, Larry?
Well, I mean, we certainly provide training to all our employees. We have anywhere between, like I said, FSC represents about 35 to 40% of our total sales. And certainly in hardwood lumber, it's a little different in that there's typically not a premium. In fact, our FSC certified mahogany is cheaper than non-certified mahogany. So in some cases, it's going the other way. And but we see mainly, 1 to 2% premium certified. I will say this, something about premiums. We found that 0 to 5% not a problem, 5 to 10% a little bit of a problem. It's over 10% is a big problem. And the first meeting that I ever went to, and I think Jason was at this meeting in Tarrytown, New York, in about 96 or 97. I heard someone stand up there and say, well, we're willing to pay, or the consumer's willing to pay up to a 25-30% premium. Well, sure enough, the forester puts his 25% premium on it, the log yard puts his 25% premium, and so the first FSC certified hardwoods, the premium was outrageous, and they sat, and they just sat and sat and sat. And now that there's not much of a premium at all for our hardwoods, again, it represents a huge part of our sale. And frankly, a lot of people get FSC certified when they don't even know it, because we're able to do that because there is no premium.